How I learned English alone, and how you can too. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Simple Spoken English. Today, I want to share something really important with you. How I learned English all by myself, without a teacher. Yes, you heard it right. I didn't attend any special classes, I didn't hire a tutor, and I didn't spend a lot of money on expensive courses. I learned English on my own, step by step. And the best part? You can do it too. When I first started learning English, I felt a little scared. I asked myself, can I really do this alone? I thought learning a language without guidance would be too hard. But over time, I realized that learning English by yourself is not only possible, it can also be fun and exciting. You just need the right methods, useful resources, and regular practice. In this video, I will tell you everything about my journey, how I started, what strategies helped me, and what challenges I faced. If you're trying to learn English by yourself, trust me, you're not alone. Many people around the world are doing the same, and so can you. Stay with me until the end, because I am going to share my best tips with you. Why did I want to learn English? I didn't wake up one day and randomly decide to learn English. I had strong reasons for it. Learning English wasn't just something I wanted to do, it was something I needed to do. English is everywhere. It's on the internet, in movies, in music, in books. You can find English almost anywhere. At first, I didn't think it was that important for me. I thought I could live my life without it. But slowly, I started to see what I was missing. The struggles that made me realize I needed English. One day, I was watching a popular Hollywood movie. I was so excited, but I couldn't understand the dialogues. I had to read the subtitles the entire time. It felt frustrating. I wanted to enjoy the movie fully, without reading every word at the bottom of the screen. And I love listening to songs, but I could only enjoy the melody. I had no idea what the lyrics meant. My favorite artists were singing, and I didn't know what they were saying. I wanted to understand their words, their emotions, and their messages. Reading books and articles online. There were so many interesting books and articles online, but most of them were in English. I wanted to learn new things, but I felt stuck because I couldn't read them easily. I had to depend on translations, which took time and didn't always give the correct meaning. One day, I had an experience that completely changed my perspective. I was watching an interview with my favorite football player from Brazil. I was eager to hear his thoughts about his recent match, but the video didn't have subtitles. I could only understand a few words, and I felt so disappointed. That moment, I made a decision. I needed to learn English. I didn't want to depend on translations anymore. Another major reason I wanted to learn English was my career. I knew that speaking English would give me better job opportunities. Many companies prefer employees who can speak English because it helps them connect with international clients and expand their business. Even though I didn't plan to work in an English-speaking country, I knew that being able to speak English fluently would open many doors. I have always dreamed of traveling. I wanted to visit beautiful places like Switzerland, Japan, and Canada. But I knew that if I didn't speak English, it would be difficult to communicate with people in different countries. English is an international language. No matter where you go, you can always find people who speak English. Whether I was booking a hotel, ordering food, or asking for directions, English would help me feel more confident and independent while traveling. I have always been interested in meeting new people and learning about different cultures. I wanted to chat with people online, join international communities, and learn about their lifestyles. Knowing English would help me talk to people from different countries. I could make friends from all over the world and learn new things from them. Imagine being able to have a conversation with someone from France, Mexico, or South Korea. How amazing would that be? At first, learning English seemed like a huge challenge. I asked myself, can I really do this? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that learning English was not just a choice, it was a necessity. If I wanted to grow, if I wanted to achieve my dreams, I had to learn English. So, I made a promise to myself. No matter how difficult it is, I will learn English. I will practice every day and improve step by step. And that's exactly what I did. When I first decided to learn English, I had no idea where to begin. I didn't have a teacher and I didn't know which method was best. But I didn't give up. I started with small, simple steps. I started watching simple English videos with subtitles. I listened carefully and tried to understand the meaning of new words. I began reading short, easy stories. At first, I didn't understand everything, but I kept going. Slowly, I started recognizing more words. Even though I had no one to practice with, I spoke out loud to myself. I repeated sentences, practiced daily conversations, and built my confidence. I kept a small notebook and wrote down new words every day. Whenever I learned a new word, I used it in a sentence to remember it better. I listened to my favorite songs and tried to catch the words. I looked up the lyrics and sang along to improve my pronunciation. You can do it too. Looking back, I feel so proud of my journey. Learning English was not easy, but it was worth it. If you are also trying to learn English by yourself, remember this. You can do it. You don't need expensive courses. You just need to be consistent, curious, and motivated. Start small. Watch movies, read books, listen to English songs, and most importantly, practice speaking every day. No matter where you come from, no matter your age, you can learn English. If I did it, so can you. How I found the best way to learn English alone. When I first decided to learn English, I had no idea where to start. I didn't know which method would be best, what resources I should use, or how to keep myself motivated. There were so many options available: books, videos, apps, websites, and more. It felt overwhelming because I didn't know which one would actually work for me. At that time, I didn't have much money to spend on expensive courses or private tutors. So I had to find free or low-cost ways to learn English. The first thing I did was go to the internet and search for how to learn English by yourself. I found a lot of advice, but I didn't know which methods would be useful for me. I decided to experiment. Instead of choosing just one method, I tried different things one by one to see which ones helped me the most. Learning from books. My first step. Since books are a traditional way to learn, I thought it would be a good idea to start with them. I went to the library in my city, Brisbane, Australia, and borrowed some basic English grammar books and dictionaries. At first, I focused on learning basic words, common phrases, and simple grammar rules. But to be honest, it was very hard. The books were full of rules and exercises that sometimes felt boring and confusing. Many words were too difficult, so I had to check the dictionary again and again. Studying alone with books made me feel lonely, and I often wondered if I was making any progress. I didn't want to give up, so I changed my approach. Instead of only reading grammar books, I started reading short stories for beginners. These stories were easier to understand and much more interesting than grammar exercises. Reading stories helped me learn new words in context and understand how sentences were structured in real-life English. It also made me enjoy learning, which kept me motivated. Switching to videos and movies, a more fun way to learn. After struggling with books, I decided to try something more engaging: videos and movies. I started by watching English movies with subtitles. At first, I used subtitles in my native language, but later I switched to English subtitles. This was a big challenge because people spoke too fast and I couldn't catch every word. Native speakers used slang and expressions I had never heard before. I often felt frustrated because I couldn't understand everything, but I didn't give up. I paused the video whenever I heard a new word, wrote it down, and repeated sentences to practice pronunciation. One of my favorite ways to learn was watching YouTube videos. There were so many English learning channels where teachers explained grammar in easy and simple words. I also found videos with real-life conversations, which helped me understand how people actually speak in daily life. Although watching videos was fun, I still had one major challenge: understanding fast speech. Sometimes I couldn't follow what native speakers were saying. To improve, I focused on listening little by little. Instead of trying to understand everything at once, I just aimed to catch key words. Over time, my listening skills improved, and I could understand more and more. Using mobile apps, learning like a game. After that, I found a new way to learn English: mobile apps. There were many great apps that helped with vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. The best part was that learning felt like playing a game. I could practice for 10-15 minutes every day. Some apps had a word of the day feature, which helped me learn a new word daily. There were fun quizzes and exercises that made learning interactive. However, there was one problem. Apps helped me with words and grammar, but they didn't give me real conversation practice. That's when I realized something very important. Learning English is not just about memorizing words, it's about using them in real life. Speaking practice. Overcoming my fear. One of the biggest challenges I faced was speaking. Since I was learning alone, I didn't have anyone to practice with. I was also afraid of making mistakes and felt shy when trying to speak English. At first, I practiced by myself. I stood in front of the mirror and introduced myself. I talked about my day, describing what I did. I named objects around me in English. It felt a little silly, but it helped me gain confidence. Later, I started thinking in English. When I was walking, I described what I saw in my mind. For example, I would say, "That is a tall building. I am going to buy some vegetables." This small habit changed everything. Over time, my speaking became easier, and I started feeling comfortable using English. Writing practice, improving my grammar. Another important step in my journey was writing. I kept a small notebook where I wrote down new words and phrases I learned each day, short paragraphs about my thoughts and experiences, simple emails in English to practice formal writing. At first, my writing was full of mistakes, but I didn't let that stop me. I focused on expressing my ideas rather than being perfect. Over time, my grammar improved, and I could write longer texts without much difficulty. Staying motivated, the hardest part. Of course, learning English alone was not easy. Sometimes I felt frustrated because I wasn't improving as fast as I wanted. There were days when I felt like giving up because progress seemed slow. One of the hardest things was staying consistent. At the beginning, I was excited, but after a few weeks, I started losing motivation. Some days I didn't feel like studying, and I thought, maybe I'll learn later. But I knew that if I stopped, I would forget everything I had learned. So, I made a study schedule. I practiced English for at least 30 minutes every day. I used different methods, reading, listening, speaking, and writing, so I wouldn't get bored. I reminded myself why I wanted to learn English, for better opportunities, travel, and personal growth. Looking back, I feel proud of my journey. Learning English wasn't easy, but it was worth it. If you are also trying to learn English on your own, remember, you can do it. You don't need expensive courses or a private tutor. You just need dedication, consistency, and the right approach. Start small. Use free resources. Read, watch, listen, write, and speak every day. Most importantly, believe in yourself. No matter where you are from or how old you are, you can learn English, just like I did. Are you ready to start? Let me know in the comments. When I started learning English, one of the biggest challenges I faced was pronunciation. Many English sounds were very different from my native language, and I struggled to say certain words correctly. Some words had silent letters, some had unusual spellings, and others just felt strange to pronounce. For example, the word through sounded completely different from how it was written. The combination of letters made it confusing. Words like thought, enough, and psychology were also difficult because they didn't follow the pronunciation rules I was used to. At first, I felt frustrated. I knew that pronunciation was important if I wanted to speak clearly and be understood by others. But I also knew that practice makes perfect, so I didn't give up. How I improved my pronunciation. To improve my pronunciation, I use different techniques. 1. Listening to native speakers, repeating after them. I listen to English podcasts, interviews, and audiobooks to hear how native speakers pronounced words naturally. Every day, I picked a few sentences from a podcast or video and repeated them out loud. I tried to match the speaker's tone, speed, and rhythm as closely as possible. Shadowing technique. Speaking along with native speakers. I watched English YouTube videos and movies, paused them, and tried to repeat the sentences exactly as the speaker said them. At first, it was difficult because they spoke too fast, but I kept trying. This helped me improve my pronunciation, fluency, and confidence. 3. Using online pronunciation tools. I used websites where I could type a word and hear the correct pronunciation. Some apps allowed me to record my voice and compare it to a native speaker's pronunciation. 4. Practicing difficult sounds. I made a list of words that were hard for me to pronounce and practiced them daily. For example, I found words like world, girl, rural, and sixth difficult, so I repeated them slowly until I got them right. Even though it took time, I started noticing improvements. I felt more confident speaking, and I didn't worry as much about making mistakes. How I stayed motivated while learning English. Learning a language alone can be difficult, especially when you don't see instant progress. Some days I felt motivated and excited, while other days I felt lazy or discouraged. However, I found ways to stay motivated and keep going. 1. Reminding myself why I wanted to learn English. Whenever I felt like giving up, I reminded myself why I started. I wanted to learn English to improve my life and get better opportunities, travel the world and communicate with people from different countries, watch movies and read books without needing translations. Thinking about these reasons helped me stay focused and determined. 2. Celebrating small achievements. Instead of only looking at the big goal, I celebrated small wins. Understanding a full sentence in a movie, having a short conversation in English without struggling, learning 10 new words in a week. Every little improvement gave me confidence and kept me excited to learn more. 3. Learning from other people's success stories. I watched motivational videos about people who learned English by themselves. Seeing their success made me believe that I could do it too, If they could become fluent, so could I. How I practiced English every day, my daily routine. When I first started learning English, I knew that practicing every day was the most important thing. I told myself, if I practice a little bit every day, I will improve step by step. But it wasn't always easy. Some days I was full of energy, while on other days I felt too tired to study. However, I learned that consistency is the key to success. Even when I didn't feel like studying, I did something small, maybe listening to a song or reading a short article. At first, I didn't have a fixed schedule, which made it hard to stay consistent. So, I created a simple daily routine that included different activities like reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Here's what my daily English practice looked like. Morning, listening. Speaking practice. 1. Listening to podcasts while having breakfast. I started my day by listening to English podcasts or audiobooks. I chose beginner-friendly podcasts with slow speech and simple words. Speaking to myself in the mirror. Since I had no one to practice with, I spoke to myself. I stood in front of the mirror and talked about my plans for the day. Today, I will go to the grocery store. I have a lot of work to do today. This helped me think in English and gain confidence. 3. Shadowing native speakers. I watched short English videos and tried to repeat what the speaker said. This helped me improve my pronunciation and speaking rhythm. Afternoon, reading-writing practice. 1. Reading short stories articles. I read children's books and beginner-friendly news articles. This helped me learn new words and sentence structures. 2. Keeping a vocabulary notebook. Whenever I found a new word, I wrote it down with an example sentence. For example, word, excited. Sentence, I am excited to learn English. 3. Writing short paragraphs. Every day, I wrote a short journal entry about my life, my thoughts, or my goals. This helped me practice grammar and sentence formation. Evening, fun English practice. 1. Watching movies, TV shows. I watched English movies with subtitles. First, I watched with English subtitles, then without subtitles. I repeated difficult sentences and imitated the actor's pronunciation. 2. Speaking practice. While walking. While walking outside, I described things I saw in English. This is a tall building. The weather is very nice today. This helped me think in English naturally. Looking back, I feel proud of my progress. Learning English wasn't easy, but it was 100% worth it. If you're starting your English learning journey, remember, the beginning is hard, but don't give up. Practice every day, even if it's just a little. Use different methods: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Stay motivated by celebrating small achievements. No matter where you come from, how old you are, or how difficult it seems, you can learn English. Just take one step at a time, and you will improve. Are you ready to start your journey? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.